We welcome the very first speaker at the platform today, the visionary and senior pastor of Covenant Christian Center, Pastor Poju Oyemade.
Amen. You may be seated. Thank you very much. You know, I was going to open the platform with a word of prayer, but when I listened to the second stanza of the anthem, it's a prayer. I said there's no need to pray again. Well, I want to welcome you all to the platform. We've been doing this now for, I think, should be our 11th year of doing this. But I believe firmly in my heart that this platform is different. And for about 15 minutes, I just want to share on some things that have constituted the thoughts behind the platform and where we are presently in terms of the development of the vision. Now, start by saying that perhaps the greatest challenge that the church faces in this country today is this. Why is the nation seemingly going south with corruption and lack of development, while at the same time there is a growing number of churches and Christian ministries in the land? And I personally believe that this thought is the strongest pushback on the gospel today. If one listens deeply, many honest and sincere people are engaged in some form of soul search concerning this. The question that is being asked by many gatekeepers is this: is national reformation, that is the development of our nation, the healing of our environment, part of the redemptive work? There are varying views on this, but I would just like to highlight a thought trend that has been emerging strongly in my heart. And it's this: that if the entrance of sin into the earth destroyed the environment that God created, that is the garden, with all its order and beauty, then the redemptive work must in some way have an impact on man's environment for the restoration of order. Some may say yes, but what the redemptive work did was to secure a new earth, which we will all one day live in the future. But that argument falls short here. As there will be a new earth one day, so also there will be a new glorified body one day. But yet God clearly pays attention to this present body that we live in, which ultimately will be replaced. He heals it and seeks to keep us well, as we cannot be effective on the earth if our bodies fall sick and it's weak. Also, I doubt seriously whether in a disorderly society the work of God can actually flourish as it should. God does all his work based on compassion. He was moved with compassion to heal the sufferings and the pain of people that people felt in their bodies while he was on the earth. Now the question is, will that same compassionate God ignore the pain of the people who go through so much unnecessary difficulty and pain due to a broken down and disorganized society? Will God ignore the pain of a woman who lost her baby while giving birth because of a lack of proper infrastructure at the hospital? I ask, will God ignore the anguish of a medical doctor who knows what to do to save a life, but the lack of tools and proper infrastructure makes him lose that patient, and he goes to sleep that day carrying in his heart that he could have saved that life? Will God ignore the pain of a family that lost their breadwinner, and the children are now struggling, literally walking on the streets to pay their own school fees because their father died in a road accident due to a pothole in the road that could easily have been avoided? Are we saying that God no longer hears the cry of such a woman's pain? Paul, speaking to the Romans, said the whole of creation is groaning and travailing in pain, and they are waiting for one thing: the manifestation of the sons of God, that they might be caught up into their glorious liberty. That is, it's only through them they can be delivered from the bondage of corruption. He tied our manifestation as his sons to fulfilling this assignment of delivering creation from its pain. David, speaking to this, said, "Deliver the poor and needy, rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness, and so all the foundations of the earth are out of course. I have said, ye are gods and children of the Most High." President Obama in 2006 said the majority of the reformers in history, and he was addressing the secularists, and said the majority of the reformers in history were not only motivated to do what they did by their faith, but they further used the language of their faith to argue for their cause. So over the years, here is my point. Many have asked me, why do we do the platform? Some have even thought that maybe there was an underlying political motive. Let me categorically state here, there wasn't and there isn't. One of the functions of the church is to act as the salt of the earth, and salt preserves. We are to act as agents of preservation so that society does not get destroyed by corruption. The platform from its inception has been funded solely by members of Covenant Christian Center with no external contributions from anyone or any organization. I have personally sat and watched and studied documentaries that have historically shown that we lose our capacity to be an arbiter in society as to what is moral and immoral by selling that birthright in exchange for political power. Why? Is it a speech-centered program? Some will ask. Won't the platform just end up being a talk show? Now, what I want to say is God's method for change is through words. And not just mere words, but speaking the right words. He has said, how forcible are right words? Words which carry the right content, words of knowledge, force changes. Many say talk is cheap, but truly, the right words are pricey, and they are hidden treasures. One of the differences between men and other creatures is that man is the only one that has the capacity to articulate its ideas in words. Through speech, he can communicate. And in the absence of that, the lower nature is what takes over. Has God not chosen that by the foolishness of preaching to save? Some might consider depending on words to bring about a change foolish. Not so with God. We have therefore prayerfully chosen our speakers, and we believe that they will deliver the right content for this hour. That's why the founders of the democratic system of government that we practice in this country today have said this, that the democratic power sits in the palm of the hand of free speech and not vice versa.